The call should have ended 10 minutes ago. Simone Harrington sat frozen at her kitchen island, her fingers locked around her phone so tight her knuckles were bleached white. Through the speaker, her husband Derek's voice came through clearly, but he wasn't talking to her anymore. He thought he'd hung up. He had no idea she was still listening. "I'm telling you, man, I can't keep doing this. Living like this, pretending everything's fine. Simone doesn't have a clue, but I've been thinking about this for months." Simone's heart stopped. The ceramic mug in her other hand trembled, sending ripples across her cold coffee. Outside, the Denver morning sun streamed through her kitchen windows. But suddenly, everything felt frozen. What about Ava? Another voice. His brother, Mark. "You can't just walk away from a 6-year-old. That's what's tearing me apart. I love that little girl more than anything. But every day I wake up and look at Simone, and I feel like I'm drowning. She deserves better than this fake marriage we're living." Fake marriage. The words hit Simone like a physical blow. Her chest tightened. Air wouldn't come. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of what she thought was real. All of it a lie? "You talked to anyone yet?" "Got a meeting next week. Need to understand my options. What this is going to cost me. How custody of Ava would work." Simone's phone slipped from her shaking fingers and hit the marble counter with a crack. Derek and Mark kept talking, oblivious that Simone's world was splintering with each word. She stared at the photo on the wall. Derek, herself, Ava at Thanksgiving in Vail. All of them smiling. Derek's arm around both of them, his grin wide. Ava missing her 2 front teeth, beaming. Simone remembered that day so clearly. Derek had spent hours building snowmen, pulling them on sleds, making hot chocolate. How could that man be the same one discussing divorce attorneys? The hardest part is she's a good woman. Simone's beautiful, smart, successful. Any guy would be lucky to have her. But I'm just not happy anymore. Haven't been for a long time. We're like roommates who happen to share a kid. We go through the motions, but there's nothing real left. Simone felt tears burning behind her eyes, but they wouldn't fall. She thought about last night. Derek had come home, kissed her cheek, asked about her day, helped Ava with reading. They'd watched a documentary together. It had felt normal. But apparently Derek had been performing the whole time. What kicked this off? Something happened? Nothing dramatic. That's almost worse. If we had some big fight, at least that would be something concrete. This is just, we grew apart. We want different things. She's always talking about having another baby. And I can barely handle the life we have now. She wants a bigger house, family trips to Disney, this perfect picture life. And I just feel trapped by all of it. Another baby. Simone's hand moved instinctively to her stomach. They'd been trying for 8 months. Every negative test had been a small grief. Had he been lying about wanting another child too? Look, I know this sounds cold, but I'm 36 years old. I've got maybe 40 good years left. Do I want to spend them pretending to be happy, or do I want to find someone who actually gets me, who wants what I want? And what about what Simone wants? You even try counseling? She'd want to fight for this marriage, and honestly, I don't have a fight left in me. I've already checked out mentally. It wouldn't be fair to her to go through months of therapy when I already know it's over. Simone finally picked up her phone with unsteady hands and ended the call. The sudden silence was deafening. She sat there for what felt like hours, staring at nothing, trying to process what she'd just heard. Derek didn't love her anymore. Derek wanted a divorce. Derek had already started planning to leave her, and he hadn't even had the decency to talk to her about it first. She looked around their kitchen. His protein shake container still on the counter. His glasses on the coffee table. The grocery list they'd made together stuck to the fridge with Ava's magnets. Everything looked the same, but nothing would ever be the same again. The front door slammed upstairs. "Mommy!" Ava's voice called down. "I'm home. Can we make waffles?" Simone wiped her eyes quickly. She had to pull herself together. Ava couldn't see her like this. Not yet. "Coming, baby," she called back, surprised at how steady her voice sounded. As she climbed the stairs to greet her daughter, one thought echoed in her mind. Derek thought their marriage was over. But he had no idea that Simone Harrington wasn't the kind of woman who went down without a fight. 4 days had passed, and Simone felt like she was living in a parallel universe. Everything looked the same on the surface. She still woke at 6, still made Derek his oatmeal, still kissed him goodbye. But now, every interaction felt like she was watching herself from outside, an actress playing a role. Derek had no idea she knew. He came home each evening, helped Ava with homework, asked about her day. He even brought her flowers on Tuesday. Pink peonies, her favorite. The same Derek who had told his brother he was meeting with a divorce lawyer. "These are beautiful," she'd said. "What's the occasion?" "Do I need an occasion to buy my wife flowers?" Derek had smiled, kissing her forehead. The gesture that once would have made her heart lift now felt like salt in a wound. Now it was Saturday morning, and Simone stood in their bathroom, staring at her reflection. At 34, she knew she was still beautiful. Her dark skin glowed, her natural curls framed her face. But looking at herself now, all she could hear was Derek's voice saying, "Any guy would be lucky to have her, but I'm just not happy anymore." "Mommy, are you ready?" Ava appeared in the doorway in her soccer uniform. "Almost, sweetheart. Go grab your water bottle." At the soccer field in City Park, Simone tried to focus on Ava's game, but her mind kept wandering. She watched the other families, couples sitting together. Had any of them been through what she was going through? "Great save, Ava," she called out as her daughter blocked a goal. Ava beamed. "She's getting so good," said Jessica Martinez, another soccer mom. "My Emma is jealous." "She loves it," Simone replied automatically. "Derek keeps saying we should sign her up for track too." Derek. Even when he wasn't there, he was part of every conversation. After the game, she and Ava stopped for frozen yogurt. Ava chattered excitedly. "Daddy said he might be able to come to next week's game. Do you think he will?" Simone's stomach clenched. "I don't know, sweetheart. Daddy's pretty busy with work." Ava nodded seriously. It broke Simone's heart to think that soon Ava might be learning much harder lessons about how grown-ups could disappoint you. That evening, Derek was unusually attentive. He cooked dinner, played board games, gave Ava her bath, read 3 bedtime stories. Was this guilt? Or was he storing up memories before he left? After Ava was asleep, they settled on the couch. Simone sat curled against his side, breathing in his familiar scent. Everything should have felt perfect. Instead, she felt like she was holding on to something already gone. "You're quiet tonight," Derek said. "Everything okay at work?" The question was so normal, so caring that Simone almost broke down. "Just tired," she said. "Long week. You've been working too hard. Maybe we should plan a vacation. Just the 3 of us. Remember Santa Fe? A vacation?" Simone wanted to scream. How could he talk about future plans when he was already planning to leave? "That sounds nice," she managed. Later that night, as Derek slept beside her, Simone stared at the ceiling. Derek hadn't changed his mind. Men didn't meet with divorce lawyers because they were having temporary doubts. He was leaving her, just waiting for the right moment to tell her. The question was, what was she going to do about it? She thought about her parents, married 40 years before her father passed. Her grandmother, married 53. The women in her family didn't give up easily. But they also didn't let themselves be blindsided. Simone slipped out of bed and padded to the kitchen. She made tea and sat at the island where she'd received the worst news of her life 4 days ago. She had a choice: confront him directly, wait for him to tell her, or take control of her own story. By sunrise, Simone had made her decision. Simone had never been the type who went through her husband's phone. Trust had always been the foundation. But desperate times called for different measures. Derek left for work every Monday at 7:45. Ava's school didn't start until 8:15. That gave Simone 30 minutes. She waited until Derek's car disappeared, then went straight to his home office. Derek was organized to a fault. His computer password was the same he'd used for years. Ava's birthday plus their anniversary. Simone's hands shook as she typed it in, part of her hoping it wouldn't work. The computer unlocked immediately. She started with his email. What she found made her stomach drop. Derek hadn't just made one appointment. He'd had 3 consultations with different lawyers. The most recent email confirmed a meeting for this Thursday at 2 p.m. But the emails went deeper. He'd been researching apartments. One-bedroom places about 15 minutes from their house. Close enough for custody, far enough to start fresh. He'd even toured 2 places. The worst discovery came when she checked his browser history. Divorce support forums. Articles about telling your child about divorce. Starting over in your 30s. Simone printed the most important emails, her heart breaking with each page. Derek had been planning this for at least 3 months. While she'd been thinking about baby names and planning Ava's birthday, Derek had been calculating alimony and custody schedules. "Mommy." Ava's voice came from upstairs. "We need to leave for school." "Coming, baby." Simone quickly shut down the computer and shoved the printed papers into her bag. At work, concentration was impossible. Simone sat through meetings nodding, but her mind was on those emails. Derek was hoping she would make this easy for him. During lunch, Simone drove to her mother's house in Aurora. Patricia Williams was tending her garden. She looked up as Simone's car pulled in, immediately sensing something wrong. "Baby girl, what's got you looking like that?"
Simone had planned to keep it secret.
But seeing her mother's face, everything came pouring out. The phone call, the emails, the apartment hunting. Patricia listened without interrupting. When Simone finished, they sat in silence on the front porch swing. "How long have you known?"
"Almost a week."
"And you haven't said anything?" "What am I supposed to say?" "Hey, honey, I accidentally overheard you planning to divorce me?" Patricia sighed. "Baby, I watched your father try to leave me twice in 40 years. Both times I had a choice. Fight for what I wanted, or let him walk away. Daddy tried to leave? You never told me. First time was when you were about Ava's age. He thought the grass was greener. I could have let him go. Could have made it easy. What did you do?" I reminded him what he was giving up. Not just me, but the family we'd built. Sometimes men forget to see what they already have. Simone felt a spark of hope. The second time we'd grown apart, that time I didn't fight for him to stay. I fought for him to remember why he fell in love with me. I started focusing on my own happiness. Funny thing, when I stopped chasing him, he started chasing me. They rocked in silence. "What are you going to do, baby girl?"
"I don't know yet."
"But I'm not going to just wait around for Derek to leave me. If my marriage is ending, I'm going to have some say in how it happens." That evening, Simone watched Derek carefully during dinner. He seemed relaxed, happy even. After Ava went to bed, Simone made her move. "Derek, can we talk about something?"
"Sure."
"What's up?" "I've been thinking. We should see a marriage counselor." The color drained from Derek's face. "A counselor?
"What?"
Is something wrong?" His voice was carefully neutral, but she saw the panic. "Nothing's wrong. I just think it would be good to have someone help us communicate better. Make sure we're still growing together instead of apart." Derek stared at her. "Do you think we're growing apart?" It was the perfect opening for honesty. Instead, Simone smiled. "I think every marriage can benefit from a tune-up." Derek nodded slowly.
"Yeah."
"That makes sense. Do you have someone in mind?" "I'll do some research. Find someone good." "Okay," Derek said. But he looked like a man who'd just been asked to schedule his own execution. As Simone got ready for bed, she felt something she hadn't experienced in a week.
Control.
Derek might have started this process, but she was going to finish it on her own terms. Dr. Angela Foster had kind eyes and a warm smile. Her office in Cherry Creek was designed to make difficult conversations feel safer. Simone had chosen her carefully. Derek had agreed to the appointment, though he'd seemed nervous all week. Now they sat on Dr. Foster's couch, Derek fidgeting with his watch. "So, what brings you both here today?" Simone looked at Derek expectantly.
This was his chance to be honest.
Derek cleared his throat. "Well, Simone thought it would be good for us to do a check-in. Make sure we're on the same page." Dr. Foster nodded. "How long have you been married?" 8 years, Simone answered. "And you have children?" "One daughter."
Ava.
"She's 6. What would you say are the strengths of your marriage?" Again, Derek looked to Simone. She felt a flash of irritation. Even here, he was going to make her do the emotional work. We have a beautiful daughter. We both work hard. We've built a nice life. Dr. Foster turned to Derek. What would you add? Simone's a great mother. She's smart, successful, beautiful. Any guy would be lucky to have her. The familiar words hit Simone like a slap. I notice you're speaking about Simone rather than about your relationship. What do you value about your marriage specifically? Derek was quiet for so long the silence became uncomfortable. Finally, we're compatible. We want the same things for Ava. We rarely fight. Rarely fighting can be a strength, but it can also indicate partners aren't communicating about important issues. Do you feel you can talk about difficult topics? We communicate fine, Derek said quickly. Simone almost laughed. They were in counseling because Derek couldn't communicate that he wanted a divorce. What about intimacy? Derek shifted. We're going through a rough patch.
How long?
A few months, Derek said. More like a year, Simone corrected. Dr. Foster looked between them. This is common. Life stresses can impact intimacy. The important thing is you're here willing to work. Derek leaned forward. Dr. Foster, in your experience, is it possible for people to just grow apart? Even when there's nothing specifically wrong? Absolutely. Partners can drift so slowly, they don't realize it until they feel like strangers. And when that happens, Derek's voice dropped. Is it possible to find your way back? This was it. Derek was asking if their marriage could be saved. With commitment from both partners, absolutely. But both people have to want to do the work. Both have to believe it's worth fighting for. Derek looked at Simone, really looked at her for the first time in weeks. She saw confusion, pain, and something that might have been hope. Derek, what do you need from this marriage to feel fulfilled? The question hung in the air. Simone held her breath. I need to feel like we're partners, he said slowly. Building something together instead of just existing in the same space. I need to feel like Simone sees me as more than just a provider. Simone's heart cracked. Is that how you feel? Derek's eyes filled. Sometimes. Like I could be any guy as long as I brought home a paycheck. That's not true, Simone whispered. When's the last time we talked about something other than Ava's school or the mortgage? When's the last time you asked about my dreams? Simone opened her mouth and realized she couldn't remember. When had they stopped being curious about each other? This is exactly the kind of conversation that can help rebuild intimacy, Dr. Foster said. You're both being vulnerable. That's brave. But what if it's too late? Derek's voice broke. What if we can't find our way back? Simone looked at her husband and saw not the man planning to leave her, but the man afraid he'd already lost her. It's not too late, she said firmly. Derek, it's not too late unless we decide it is. For the first time in months, Derek smiled at her with genuine warmth. You really believe that? I believe in us. I believe our family is worth fighting for. Dr. Foster smiled. This is where healing begins, with both partners choosing to fight instead of give up. As they scheduled their next appointment and walked to their cars, Derek took her hand. The simple gesture felt like a promise. She had made her choice. She was going to fight for her marriage. And for the first time since that awful phone call, she believed she might actually win. 8 months later, Simone woke on a Sunday morning to the sound of Derek's laughter from the kitchen. She smiled before she was even fully awake. The past 8 months had been the hardest and most rewarding of their marriage. Dr. Foster had guided them through difficult conversations about intimacy, communication, the dreams they'd stopped sharing. They'd learned to see each other not just as co-parents, but as individuals. Derek had never mentioned the divorce lawyers again, though Simone never told him she'd known. Some secrets were meant to be forgiven rather than confessed. Simone padded to the kitchen and found Derek making pancakes while Ava set the table with their good dishes. What's the occasion? Simone asked, wrapping her arms around his waist. Do we need an occasion for Sunday pancakes with my 2 favorite girls? Derek grinned, turning to kiss her forehead. Daddy's making them in heart shapes, Ava announced. And he said we can have whipped cream. Living dangerously, I see. That's the new me. Derek the risk taker. It was true. Derek had changed. He'd started photography classes, joined a basketball league, even started journaling. Simone had changed too. She'd accepted a promotion, traveled for work, loved the challenge. They'd started dating again. Actual dates, concerts, weekends in Taos. They remembered why they'd fallen in love. Mommy, guess what? Ava said as they ate. Daddy said maybe we can get a puppy. Simone raised her eyebrows. Oh, did he? I said maybe. If we can prove we're responsible. We're responsible, Ava insisted. After breakfast, while Derek got ready for his game, Simone looked at the family photos on the wall.
New ones now. From Taos.
From Derek's first photography show. From Ava's dance recital. What you thinking about? Derek asked, coming up behind her.
Just how much has changed?
Good changes. The best changes. Derek wrapped his arms around her. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure out how to be a better husband. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure out how to be a better wife. We both had some learning to do. Think we figured it out now? Simone turned and smiled. I think we're getting pretty good at this marriage thing. Good, Derek said, kissing her softly. Because I plan on practicing with you for the next 50 years. Only 50? Fine, 60. Final offer. They were interrupted by Ava running through. Come on, you two. Stop being mushy. We're going to be late. As they loaded into the car, Simone thought about that terrible morning 8 months ago when she'd overheard Derek talking about leaving. She'd been so afraid, so certain her marriage was over. But sometimes the worst moments become the beginning of the best changes. Sometimes you have to almost lose something to remember how much it means. Derek reached over and took her hand as they drove. She squeezed back. They'd chosen each other once when they were young. Now they'd chosen each other again, older and wiser, knowing love was work worth doing. Behind them, Ava chattered about the game, about her friend's party, about ice cream afterward. Her voice filled the car with joy. Simone looked out at the Denver skyline, at the city where they'd built their life, where they'd learned to fight for love instead of giving up. Her phone buzzed. How are the lovebirds today? Better than ever. Turns out some things are worth fighting for. As they pulled into the parking lot, Derek turned to her with a serious expression. Simone, there's something I need to tell you. Her heart skipped. Old fears dying hard. But his face was calm, loving.
What is it?
I've been thinking about what you said months ago. About wanting another baby. Simone's breath caught. They hadn't talked about expanding their family since starting counseling.
And?
She whispered. Derek smiled. The smile that had made her fall in love with him 10 years ago. I think Ava would make an amazing big sister.
If you still want to try.
Tears filled her eyes. Happy tears. Are you sure? Really sure? I'm sure about us. I'm sure about our family. Everything else we can figure out together. Yes, she whispered, then louder.
Yes. I want that. I want all of it with you.
What are you guys talking about? Ava asked from the back. Derek and Simone laughed. We'll tell you later, baby girl. Right now, let's go watch you score some goals. As they walked toward the field, Ava running ahead, Derek and Simone walked hand in hand. The Denver sun was warm on their faces. The future stretched out before them, full of possibility, and their love, tested and proven and stronger than ever, would carry them through whatever came next. Simone thought about the woman she'd been 8 months ago, sitting at her kitchen island with her world falling apart. She'd thought Derek's secret planning meant their marriage was over. Instead, it had been the beginning of their real marriage. The one built on honesty and choice and daily commitment. Sometimes the worst phone call of your life could lead to the best decision you ever made. To fight for love instead of giving up on it.
Goal.
Ava shouted from the field. Derek and Simone cheered together, their voices blending into one sound of pure joy.